going on, guys? Welcome back to episode 5 of the Tinted Visors podcast. I'm Caden, he's Kenny, and today we'll be going over a couple things. We'll be starting with some team futures. We'll be comparing two teams head to head to see who has the better future. We'll discuss some first overall picks, and then finally we'll wrap it up with a couple draft battles. That being said, let's get right into it.
So before we get going, as always, we're going to hit you with a card of the day. Caden, you want to start us off?
Yep, I will start us off. Today I have a Quinn Hughes Young Guns. It's actually signed as well. I missed it because of baseball practice, but there was a little event for some season ticket holders to meet some of the Canucks. So my mom was kind enough to bring some of my cards and got the rookie card signed. So going to be a card in my collection forever. Super sweet card.
Yeah, super nice card. Sick auto on it as well. I'm going to go with my Anthony Cirelli Future Watch auto to $9.99. Not much to say about the card. Just like the player a lot and one of my favorite on Tampa. And, he's very hard worker, great in the penalty kill, great sort of two-way forward. I hope he gets some Selke votes this year. Hope he wins one year down the line. But it's a sick card, cool auto, and it'll be part of my collection for a while. Moving on, like we said, we're going to do a few team futures, put some teams head-to-head. For first one up, we got the Buffalo Sabres against the Detroit Red Wings. Obviously, I like the look of the Buffalo Sabres. Caden's going to touch on them in a bit. But looking at the Detroit Red Wings, looking at their prospect pool, even the young guys on the roster already. On the roster, they've got guys like Lucas Raymond, Moritz Seider, already really young, already really proven already. But that doesn't even scratch the surface of the young guys that they have in the organization. Looking at the forward group, you got a couple first-round picks of recent years, Nate Danielson, Marco Kasper. You add on top of that, you got Soderblom, Berggren, Carter Mazer, and then probably one of the best names in the NHL, Red Savage. All those guys are very capable of coming up to top 9 minutes, top 6 minutes in the future, and I think they can be really good down the line. Looking at the defensive core, guys like Simon Edvinsson, Sandin Pellikka, a couple first-round picks, highly touted prospects, and you add on top of that a guy like Wallander, who can really round out that top four with a guy like Moritz Seider already there. On top of those two positions, you even got goalie prospects, right? Sebastian Cossa, a first-round pick a couple years ago, and they added Trey Augustine this past offseason, who's really going to make a push and really going to sort of compete with Cossa down the line. That being said, they've got a really good prospect pool, really good depth all the way through. Obviously, not all of them are going to pan out right away, but the Detroit Red Wings are looking really dangerous.
No, absolutely. That is easily one of the most loaded prospect pools in the league right now. So on the flip side, obviously, Kenny mentioned the Buffalo Sabres. And I think the biggest difference between a team like Buffalo and a team like Detroit is a lot of Buffalo's former top prospects have already graduated and are already in the NHL. So that being said, this is why I like Buffalo's future a little bit more. They already have their main core locked up. So Rasmus Dahlin just signed a mega extension. Owen Power also just got locked up. Tage Thompson's on an extremely team-friendly deal. Dylan Cousins as well. That's 4 core players of your future already locked up. That already, the future in Buffalo is looking super bright. And they do have some prospects still in the pipeline, led by Matthew Savoie and Zach Benson, who was drafted last year, who might actually make the team out of camp. So that'll be something to watch for the Sabres. And you also got guys like Jack Quinn, Devin Levi in between the pipes as well. Great goalie that they have. He showed up last year. And they also even have Ukko-Pekka Luukkonen. So they have 2 goalie prospects. Pekka Luukkonen's kind of losing that prospect status, but Devin Levi's there. Buffalo has all the pieces to be a contender for years to come, and I think their future is one of the best in the NHL. All right, so next on our team comparisons, we have the LA Kings with the Ottawa Senators. So I will be doing the LA Kings, and Kenny will touch on the Sens in a bit. So LA has probably one of the best blends of old and young in the league. They have some seasoned veterans like Drew Doughty and Anze Kopitar who know what it takes to win and have been there, who can kind of mentor the young guys as they come up and show them that winning culture. They also have some young guys, Pierre-Luc Dubois and Kevin Fiala, both in their mid-20s. They're both locked up long-term. They're going to be around LA for a long time, and they can kind of be the ones to step up and lead when Doughty and Kopitar do decide to retire. They also have their young hopefuls. Quentin Byfield, former second overall pick, kind of feels like he's on his last chance, his last season to prove himself. Arthur Kaliev, he has been solid. Can he develop and take that next step? And Laferriere, obviously another young guy, kind of brings a physical edge to his game that the Kings need. And not to mention their prospect pool, still loaded, led up front by Brant Clark, who didn't make the Kings opening night roster, but I'm sure we'll see him this year. Alex Turcotte, another former high draft pick who is still trying to prove himself. Even a guy like Francisco Pinelli, second round pick, does have that upside as well. Another thing to mention is guys like Akil Thomas, a little bit lower down in their prospect pool, who are a bit older. As these older guys retire, some new contracts expire, Akil Thomas could even step into it like a bottom six role for this team. The only problem I have is their goaltending. Phoenix Copley, I don't know if he's the answer for the future, but that being said, I think the Kings are going to be a playoff team for a very long time.
Yeah, I definitely like what the Kings have done. Sort of retooling really quickly and becoming a contender again with Kopitar and Doughty at the reins. But on the flip side, going looking at the Senators, they did a full rebuild a couple years ago, started selling all their players and sort of picking up all those picks and prospects. And similarly to like you said with the Sabres, they got all their young pieces locked up already. Sanderson earlier this offseason, Shabbat's locked up. Guys like Stutzel, Norris, Kachuk, they're all locked up long term, and they're all relatively young, just entering their mid-20s, and therefore just entering their primes. But looking at the younger guys, right, you have Ridley Gregg, who's made the roster after sort of floating up and down the past few years. He's looking to take the next step forward. Same with Shane Pinto. I hope he can get this contract situation sort of sorted out. And then you look at the prospect pool, right? Zach Ostapchuk, hopefully he can break in a couple of years, maybe play some top 9 minutes, as well as Tyler Boucher, a top 10 pick a couple of years ago. Hopefully he can take a next step in junior this year, maybe move up, AHL this year and sort of move up and play some top 9, top 6 minutes down the road. Looking at the defense, like I said, they got Sanderson and Shabbat already locked up. But you got some young guys as well. You got Clevin, Donovan. You've got a couple of former first-round picks as well. Bernard Docker, as well as Lassie Thompson, who sort of went through some waiver issues just a couple weeks ago. But hopefully they can sort of make their way up the roster, make their way up to the Pro League in later this season. Similarly to the Kings, though, I think the goaltending is the issue. Obviously, Korpisalo is going to be locked up for a couple more years. But they have no real young guys who can sort of take the reins after that. They moved on from Gustafsson last year as well, and it's just looking a little empty for them. And so hopefully they can figure that out for the next couple of years.
All right, so moving on, we'll be talking about some first overall draft picks and the different situations and kind of how the teams decided to develop them. So Kenny, you want to start us off?
Yeah, I've been thinking about this for a while. And just looking at the past couple of seasons of first overall picks, I think there's a little too much pressure for them to make that jump right away, and I think not all of them are ready. I think past couple of seasons the game's just got faster, it's gotten tougher, it's gotten stronger. With all the technology, obviously everyone's dieting the right way, everyone's building strength the right way, and I think some of these kids just aren't going to make that jump, as smoothly as others. You look back several years, you got McDavid and Matthews who make those jumps right away. They do really well. They fit in really well. They win some trophies, all that. But then recently, you look at Jack Hughes, Lafreniere, even Slavkovsky this past year, all of them in their first years right after the draft, they didn't have the greatest starts. Jack Hughes obviously turned it around. He's having some great plays, great years. But Lafreniere, he just hasn't really broken out to what he was, projected to be, a perennial player. He hasn't shown any sort of signs of that yet. Slavkovsky obviously is just 1 year removed, but I think, making that jump right away last year, I don't think it was the right play. And I think with the rules that the NHL has, I think they need to change it. I think they need to make it easier for these young kids, because as of right now, the players right after the draft year, they can't go down to the AHL, right? They have to go back to junior. Like we've seen with Shane Wright, they have to make exceptions for him to go down to AHL because he's still junior eligible. And I think, junior is a little too easy for them, so they do need that pro level. But I think they need to be able to go to the AHL. I think they need to be able to play with some men, play against some men, and sort of learn that range before making the full jump to the NHL. Like looking at some of the stat lines, Slavkovsky, 34 games played. Obviously, you stopped the season due to injury, but 4 goals, 6 assists, and just 10 points. Lafreniere, 56 games, only 12 goals, only 9 assists, only 21 points. There's a -7 as well, played just around 14 minutes. Jack Hughes in his first year, 61 games, 7 goals, 14 assists, 21 points. There's a -26. Another thing to add to this is that these guys obviously are going into rough situations the team was bad enough to get the first overall pick, so they're obviously not going to be good right away. Jack Hughes didn't really have much help in the first year, so they have these worse off teams picking up these players and forcing them into the season right away. The players try to play some pro league games, but just not in the NHL right away. I think they need to learn the reins first before making that jump.
No, absolutely. I agree with you there. I think the AHL would be a very happy medium for young guys, especially first of all draft picks, trying to ease their way into some pro hockey. And, like you mentioned, going back to junior, that's my question for you is if you were a GM, you have the first overall pick, but he's not quite good enough to, make an impact in your top six, so he'll be playing bottom six minutes at the NHL level. Or do you send him back to junior, where he just kind of blows everyone out of water? Like, which one is really better for his development? Because we talk about these guys, like Slavkovsky, like Jack Hughes, like Alexis Lafreniere, who have these mediocre, very mediocre first years in the NHL. But is it really going to help their development that much if they play in junior, where they're smoking everybody?
Yeah, that's a great point. It really is, and as a GM, I wouldn't want him to go down and just, blow everyone out of the water, like you said, because it might help with confidence, but it's not really going to help with development. He's going to be playing against, guys who are like 18, 17, 18, 19, as opposed to NHL players who are, mid 20s, mid 30s. So that's why I think the NHL needs to make a rule, make a change, allow those players to be sent to the AHL, get some experience, and then, make the jump in future years. Like you look at Shane Wright, he was technically a projected first overall pick, right? He gets sent down, goes back down to Windsor Spitfires, and he racks up the points. And look at it now, he's not with the club, the pro club right now. He's back in the AHL, so it obviously didn't work. So I think that there needs to be a change. There needs to be a change of rules to allow these guys to play in the AHL.
Just another question here for you, Kenny. Do you think the first overall pick should have any say in if he goes back to junior or stays in the NHL? Like confidence problems or like pressure from just people around him, whether that's fans, family, to kind of stay in the NHL and make an impact right away?
Yeah, I think it should 100% be up to the kid. I think there's an immense pressure coming from the fans, coming from the team, or not even pressure, just the expectation that he'll make that jump right away. When at the end of the day, I think the kid should decide whether he's ready or not. I don't think it's like a red flag if the kid doesn't want to play right away. If he wants to really focus on his development, I think he should take that opportunity. Like I said, these kids aren't jumping into the best situation, right? You look at, Slavkovsky jumping into Montreal. It's not like they were contenders. It's not like they were going to, push for the cup right away. He doesn't need to make that jump if he doesn't want to. The exception would be maybe the Rangers with Lafreniere just because they were, a bubble team who, magically got the first overall pick. But most of these kids are not jumping into a team who needs, a top player right away. I think they can afford to give the kid a year off and, go to the AHL because the amount of expectations, the amount of pressure, it must be so hard on, the mental side of these players, right? You look at Jack Hughes. He was fully aware that all these people were calling him bust right away, calling him, soft, all this stuff. He mentioned it in an interview saying, no one believed he could get 40, and he scored 40 last season, right? You can't tell me that these kids aren't aware of, negative comments and, all this pressure that's on them. And I think, if it should be up to them, and if it is up to them, I would look into sort of, taking a year off, with the exception of obviously Connor Bedard, just because, generational talent. But I think, down the line, even if you're second, third, fourth overall, and you have pressure to jump right away, I think you should consider another route.
No, absolutely. It'll be interesting to see in future years if teams and players kind of learn from watching Lafreniere and Slavkovsky and guys who don't have a great first year in the NHL, see if they learn from that and decide to take a different route.
And on top of that, you look at the flip side, Owen Power, he took a year off, went back to Michigan. Obviously, he wanted to play World Juniors and all that. But he came in second year after draft, and he had a great season. So moving on to the fun stuff, we're going to hit you guys with a couple more draft battles. Same rules as last time. If you haven't seen it, make sure to go watch. But for this one, first up, we're going to do an all-Swedish active team. And Caden's got first overall pick, so you can take it away.
So first overall here, nothing crazy, especially as a Canucks fan. Depending on how the team folds out, he can play center or left wing, but we're going to be taking Elias Pettersson. Obviously, coming off a career year, I think he's the best Swede in the league right now.
Yeah, there's no surprise there. Even if you're not a Canucks fan, you gotta admit Pedersen's probably one of the best Swedes out there right now. But I got the second and third. I think with the second overall pick, I'm going to go with a left wing. We're going to go with Philip Forsberg. And then on defense, I'm going to go with, just locked that into a great deal, Rasmus Dahlin.
Oh, that's a good pick. Okay. So, moving on. For my defense, I'm going to take, coming off of a Norris winning year, we're going to take Erik Karlsson for the right D spot. And then we're actually going to lock up a goalie here. We're going to go, also coming off an award winning year, Linus Ullmark, coming off a Vezina win. Hopefully he can keep it up for this team.
Okay, that's pretty good picks. Pick my center right now. Gonna go with a guy who scored a lot of goals. I'm gonna go with Mika Zibanejad.
Good pick.
And then on defense, maybe a little biased, but I'm gonna go with Victor Hedman to play with Dahlin.
It's a good pick. It's a great D pair. For me, I think we're gonna reinforce up front here. I think we're gonna take we'll take our two forwards here. I'm gonna go with Elias Lindholm, and I think he'll play center. And then for our right wing spot, he plays both wings, but we'll take Jesper Bratt. I think coming off of a couple 70-point years, I think he can produce on a line with Lindholm and Pettersson.
Okay. That surprised me, I'm not gonna lie, with Bratt. But I'll finish out my picks before Caden finishes off the draft. With the right side on the wing, playing with Zibanejad and Forsberg, I'm going to take Willie Nylander.
Ooh.
And in net, based on reputation, I'm going to go with Jacob Markstrom.
Oh, solid pick to round out a very solid team. For me, I just have to fill out the the left D spot, and I will be taking Matthias Ekholm. Just a solid, very defensive sound defenseman to round out this team.
So yeah, guys, let us know down below who you think wins that draft battle. Obviously, two great teams, a lot of great Swedish players out there. But yeah, let us know. We're going to move on to the second draft battle. We're going to stick with the sort of nationality theme that we got going on, and we're going to go with active Russian players. So Caden got it first last time. I'm going to get first overall this time. You know what? It's going to be biased, but I got to go with Nikita Kucherov on the right wing.
No, that's a great pick. I think the consensus first overall. So here, I can go a lot of different ways with these two picks, but I think one of them, for the wing, I'm going to take Kirill the Thrill Kaprizov. Very exciting player. He's going on the wing. For the left D spot, we're actually going to go with Mikhail Sergachev. Take away a Tampa boy from you there.
I'm just going to fill out the forwards. I think there's enough D and goalies out there for me later. But go with some old guys. I'm going to go with Alex Ovechkin on the left wing and Evgeny Malkin up the middle.
Solid. All right, so now that you've taken the forwards, I guess I'll take a D-man here. I will go with Dmitry Orlov to play with Mikhail Sergachev. Two left-handed shots, but shouldn't be a problem. And then up front, I think we'll take a winger here. We will go with Artemi Panarin to play the left wing.
That was a good picks. That's basically my top two defensemen. But I'll take my D anyway. We're going to go with a guy who was traded this offseason, Ivan Provorov, alongside a guy who was traded the offseason before in Alexander Romanov.
Solid pairing. And then to round out my team, our center is going to be Evgeny Kuznetsov. And then in between the pipes, you can go three different ways here. You got a three-headed monster out there in Russia, but I think I'm going to go with Ilya Sorokin between the pipes.
It's a good pick. It's not even the top three goalies in Russia. That's basically the top three goalies in the NHL right now, one could argue. As much as I hate to say it, I think I'm going to go with Shesterkin in net.
Oh.
Just played really well last year, even the year before that with the Vezina. But yeah, that's going to round out my team. Let us know who you guys think won down below. We'll put the teams up, and you guys can compare.
All right, guys, so we'll just be wrapping up with a little bit of trivia as usual. So I'll start. Kenny, I just sent you a picture, and your goal, you have to guess which team this is based on their top lines NHL 24 ratings.
Okay. Well, the only thing that stands out is just not like an average goalie. Oh, this is hard. I don't play enough to know any of these. I haven't played at all, actually.
Take us through the thought process. What are we working with here?
Right now, I was thinking of Columbus, like Orinsky being 87, Merzlikins probably an 83. Like the forward group, I don't really know what center would be an 85 though. Another thought might be Detroit. I feel like it could be Ottawa, with Corpusalo being low, and then the 87 probably being Shabbat. But I feel like Stutzel would be higher than 85.
I think the one that's throwing you off is the right D. Because when I think of this right D, I don't think of an 85. I think he's lower.
It's wrong, but I'm gonna go with Vegas.
Vegas Golden Knights is incorrect.
Is it Seattle?
It is the Seattle Kraken,
Oh, I
yes.
didn't even think of them for a second.
Dude, you were
Oh,
going through the names, and I was like, he's not saying Seattle. He's not saying Seattle. But I felt kind of bad because the overalls you weren't really given much to work with. It's just like 86, 85 across
so
the board.
who are these players? Read them out to me.
Do you know who they are?
I would ass- well, I would assume 87 is done.
Yeah, 87 has been done.
Grubauer is 83.
Grubauer is the 83, yeah.
The right D.
It's
Like,
Adam Larson.
Adam Larson, is
Yeah.
it? Adam Larson? Wow. Is that Eberle on the right wing?
It's Everly on the right,
Burakovsky?
yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
And then Burakovsky, the other one?
No, it's Beniers and Jared McCann. So McCann's the 86.
Oh, okay.
So,
Wow, Adam Larson.
I know, like to me he's like an 82, 83 max, but
Yeah.
85 is generous.
Wow, that's a good one. I didn't even think of Seattle for a second. Didn't even cross my mind. Wow. But I have a guess the team or guess the players, 3 hints each. Which one are you looking for?
We'll start with the guess the team.
Guess the team? Okay. So the first hint is their first season was the 2000-2001 season. They had a first overall pick in 2002. And their general manager is one of the very few list of European general managers.
Oof. First pick in 2002.
Mm-hmm.
The GM hint, I don't know GMs well enough, but around that time, I think. Oh, is this the?
What
See,
are you thinking here? What are you
well, the
thinking?
first thought that comes to mind is the Winnipeg Jets, Atlanta Thrashers franchise, because I
Okay.
think Kovalchuk was drafted around there, but I feel like Kovalchuk was like 99 or 01, but not 02. Another
Mhm.
team around there is the Blue Jackets, which would make sense, and I think they drafted Rick Nash first overall around there.
Okay.
The Hurricanes are another thought, but I think we're gonna lock in the Columbus Blue Jackets. Final answer.
Dang.
Let's
Wow.
go.
There you
There
go.
we go.
That's a good guess.
That was a good one.
The GM is Jarmo Kekalainen.
Okay.
If
Don't
you know who
know.
that is. But yeah, you're right with Rick Nash.
Here's Rick
went first
Nash.
overall.
Nice.
But wow, yeah.
All right, so moving on, my next trivia for you, Kenny. It's a guess the team, but not only is it a guess the team, but you also have to guess the year. So I sent you a picture of a roster with their points for that year, and you have to guess what team this is and what year this was.
Okay. So right off the gate, it's the Flyers. Le Cavalier means it was somewhere like between 2012 and 14, 15, kind of. St. Louis was captain like around 13, 14, 15, which means Le Cavalier must have left around 2012-ish. And I think he went to Philly first before LA. So I'm working between. He definitely wasn't there for the Cup run. Kimmo Timonen was still there. That was before he went to Chicago in 15, so it's before that. So I'm going to go with the 2012-2013 season.
2012, 2013 season?
Yeah.
That is incorrect. Yeah.
What is it?
You were off by 1 year. That was the
2013?
2013-2014
Oh,
Philadelphia
man.
Flyers. Great guess.
Oh,
Honestly,
man.
that was very hard. I'm surprised
So
you
Le
were able
Cavalier
to
was basically what I was basing it off of.
you were picking that out. That was impressive.
All right. We're going to go with the guess the player. Like always, 3 hints. We're going to go with he is a former Calder Trophy winner. He had a 40-goal season. And he is well known to be a figure skater when he was a kid. And there's even some videos out there of him showing like figure skating skills in his hockey year. I don't know if that helps or not.
Never heard of that.
Okay.
Calder, former Calder winner. I don't. That's
Mhm.
probably the trophy I know the least about, other than the Norris. That was embarrassing a few episodes ago. But Calder Trophy. I know Tyler Myers won it. Pedersen. I think McKinnon has one. Um, but this is making me think. I feel like he's a little bit older. I feel like he's not. I feel like
Okay.
someone niche who won the Calder that I don't actually remember. He's currently playing.
He is
Okay. Okay.
with his second team.
So that rules out the Avalanche boys, I guess, because I think Landeskog won a Calder as well, if I'm not mistaken. Can I get a conference here that he's playing in right now?
He currently plays in the Eastern Conference.
Currently plays in the East.
Both teams are actually in the Eastern Conference. Different divisions.
Now that makes me think of John Tavares. I know he was a first overall pick. I'm not sure if he won a Calder,
Huh?
but obviously the Islanders in the Metro and the Leafs in the Atlantic. And he does seem like a figure skating kind of guy. I don't know. He scored 40 goals as well. Okay. You know what? I'm just gonna lock it in. John Tavares. Final answer.
John Tavares is incorrect. He followed up the 40-goal season with a 14-goal season.
Okay, so following up, just thinking of like a fall off like that makes me think of Jeff Skinner.
Okay.
Played for the Canes in the Metro, Sabres in the Atlantic.
Okay.
Seventh overall, I have no idea where he was drafted, but I feel like he would have scored those 40 goals with who was it? That was with Eichel before he got the extension. It was Eichel or
Yep.
Hall that he played. It was with Eichel.
Was I going?
Played with Eichel, probably scored 40, got the 9.5 million. So I'm gonna lock in Jeff Skinner.
There you go.
There
It is just
there
Skinner.
you go. Needed a couple hints, but we got there in the end. All right, so Kenny and I decided to do one more trivia today. So Kenny, mine for you is I'm gonna list off 10 players one by one, and you're gonna have to tell me if they have scored 40 goals in a season in their career. It's mostly I think everyone here is active. I think every player on the list is active. So
Okay.
we're gonna start with Patrick Kane.
Yep.
Yes, he has. We're gonna go to JT Miller.
Definitely 40 goals. Yeah.
He has not had 40 goals. No.
Oh, man.
Okay, so we're gonna go next to we'll go with Sidney Crosby.
Yeah.
Yes, he has. Okay. Next up we have Mitch Marner.
No.
No, he hasn't. You're right. So that's 3 for 4. We'll go with Evgeny Kuznetsov.
No.
No, he hasn't. You're right. That was quick. Okay. We'll go with Johnny Gaudreau.
Yep.
Yes, he has. Okay. What about Joe Pavelski?
Damn. Probably. Definitely. Yeah.
Yes, he has. Okay.
Okay.
So we have, I think, 3 left. We'll go Sebastian Aho.
No.
No, he hasn't. He had 38 one year, but not
Okay,
get
that's
40.
closer than I thought.
We'll go Anders Lee.
Yep, he is.
Yes, he has. How do you know that? Wow.
From Iran, he got like
Okay.
$7 million right after that.
Yeah, okay. And the last one to round it all up, we're gonna go with Brady Kachuk.
No.
No, he hasn't. You're right.
Okay, yeah.
Oh, you tried to change it? Whoa!
I was right. I was right. We'll take it. We'll
He
take
was
it.
right. He
That's
goes
really
he
dumb.
goes 9 for 10. The Canucks fan gets JT Miller wrong, of course. But
Wow, so he must have had like 60 assists then. Something
yeah,
like
no,
that.
he only had like 30, I think like low 30s in that year. But
Uh, uh.
maybe,
Yeah, that was a hard one. That
hey,
was
9
good.
for 10 is very solid.
We're gonna do something similar to what you did earlier with the guess the season,
Okay.
but we're just gonna give you some facts about the season. McDavid ended up winning most points with 100 points that season.
Okay.
Bobrovsky ended up winning the Vezina that season,
Okay.
and the Capitals won the President's Trophy.
The Capitals won the President's Trophy.
Yeah.
Okay. So McDavid with 100 points. So it's not his rookie year. So he was drafted in 2015. So it's not 15-16. This could be 16-17. I'm not too sure when Bobrovsky would have won the Vezina. And the Caps didn't win the cup until 2018. 18. So I don't think they won the Presidents in the same year they won the Cup. So I feel like it's 16, 17. 100 points for McDavid. That's not very.
It's not very high
No,
for
it's
his
not.
standards.
So I feel like it would have been his year two season. But this could be after the Caps won the Cup. They could have had the Presidents. Or for all I know, they did win the Presidents and the Cup in the same year. But um, I don't think that's right. I think the last team to win both was not the Capitals. Um, so I'm between. So what am I between? I'm between 16, 17 and like 18, 19. Oh, this could be. Because when did Bobrovsky leave Columbus? Did he win the Vezina that year? He might have. That's why he got so much money. Um, I mean, the Tampa fan would know. Did they get swept in? Is that 18, 19?
That was the
That
season.
was
Yeah.
18, 19. Okay, so it's two seasons. It's 16, 17 or 18, 19. And I could be completely wrong. But were the Capitals good enough to win the Presidents in 18, 19? Or was that, well, that might have been Tampa's year because they were the one seed. Columbus was, you know what? I'm going to lock in, we're going to say 16, 17 final answer.
You had it right away, and you're right.
Oh,
You trusted your gut. It is
there we go.
16-17.
Beautiful.
That's all we have for you guys today. Thank you again for watching. Thanks for all the support so far. We'll be back again for another episode next week. Caden, got anything?
No, just thanks for watching. TikTok is online now, so if you guys want to follow that. But yeah, no, thanks for listening. It was a pleasure.
Up and you won't hear a sound. I got 1,000 gunmen turning up, but they will gun you down. Oh, you know she wild inside.